Hey guys, Zane here. Hope you've had a great day. I want to share some thoughts here just for a few minutes regarding the announcement today by the Queensland Premier about essentially how we're gearing up to have what I would call a parallel society in the next month or so because of some of the mandates and crazy things that are going on. I want to read to you just a short few paragraphs from Clive Palmer, who put out a statement following the announcement from the Queensland Premier, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But there's no doubt we're in really crazy times, and not a day goes by where we don't feel some sense of uncertainty, anxiety towards the future, and I know that it's affecting everybody in many different ways. And perhaps the only people that it's not affecting are those who are either too ignorant, too lazy, or too arrogant or too complicit to actually see that we have a problem here, and that everything that's going on has nothing to do with a health crisis. There's so much more to it than that, and we're actually in the middle of World War III. It's a different type of war. It's an information war. It's a war about tyranny, medical control, and it's also about a shift in society in the way that we know it. And none of this is a conspiracy. You can go on to the World Economic Forum's website and you will learn all about the New World Order, the Great Reset, which is planned for 2030. And the whole reason why this whole thing has been fast-tracked at such lightning speed is because we had a situation in America when the former president got in 2016 and he basically set everything back by 4 years. And so if you understand the concept of slow boiling frogs, which is essentially what human beings are, you put them into a hot boiling pot of water and they'll jump out and freak out. But if you warm them up nice and easily and lightly over time, you'll slowly boil them to death and they won't even realize it. And essentially that's what's happening right now. Everything around us is subliminal. It starts with masks, social distancing, then it's checking in. And if you look back at what's happened over the last 18 months and you really start to analyse it, you can just see how everything is starting to gather momentum now, and the pressure's really coming on to everybody. Now, I really feel for people whose livelihoods are at stake with all of this, because I know that my point of view is just my point of view, and everybody is entitled to their own, and everybody has different circumstances that they have to contend with and they have to analyse when making decisions around these crazy draconian measures. I guess what I would say, and I will get to this statement from Clive Palmer in a moment, but what I would say is that if you have any means at all to be able to just hold the line, I think what you'll see is over the coming months, yes, it's going to get worse before it gets better, but eventually we're going to get to a point where there is so much pushback that none of this will be able to continue. I mean, we've seen already in the UK, in Russia, and in other countries where the pushback of the people has been so immense when these heavy-handed measures have actually been rolled out that the government's been forced to basically unwind them. As soon as people start going into businesses who haven't had the jab and they're being refused entry, and businesses start to try and enforce this stuff, it won't be long before a lot of those businesses just won't survive, because you can't believe for a second the figures that they're telling you. Because if it was true that 80% had received the double dose, then it would be mission accomplished. They wouldn't need to impose these stronger and more desperate measures that they are now, if that was truly the case. The reality is that you and I don't know the truth, and we certainly can't trust the bought and paid for propaganda machine and the puppets that push the propaganda, who are so-called once called journalists, but really they're just propaganda puppets these days. Everything that comes out of their mouth is controlled. It's quarantined. It's laid out, and they're just really spruikers for those that line their pockets and the pockets of the companies that they work for, being the mainstream media. And that's why this is an information war above anything else, because the people aren't getting to see the truth. I mean, we saw this this nurse, 32 to I think 35 years she'd been in the system in Adelaide just a few days ago, come out, and she basically stood out the front of the hospital and basically said straight out to the mainstream media, 7, 9, 10 and Channel 2, who was standing right there in front of her outside of the hospital. She said, stop lying to the people. The only people that are in that hospital who are sick right now are those who have had the jab. They're the only ones that are sick. You know, and these guys who are, and she also told them that you guys, you're not going to get off scot-free here. They're coming after you as well and your kids. So, you know, we just have to realise that there is so much going on right now where there is a silent majority who are starting to really wake up, and they don't want to partake in this medical experiment. So we need to be able to hold the line. And I think when we eventually get through this chaos, we will get to a situation where we're going to have a fantastic, beautiful, free world once we get through it. But it is going to take some pain in order to get there. So what did Clive say today? He put out a statement, and I'll just quickly read a couple of paragraphs to you. United Australia Party Chairman Clive Palmer said today that the party's lawyers have been instructed to commence legal action against the Queensland government over its plan to create a two-class society, referring to the jabbed and the unjabbed. It's a matter of great concern that Queensland Premier has announced that residents who have not been fully vaccinated will not be able to access restaurants, clubs, hotels and events, said Mr Palmer. The Queensland Premier has brought in these unconstitutional laws under the guise of so-called emergency legislation. And that's what they're leaning on right now. They're leaning on this false narrative of emergency legislation or a health crisis, when in fact that is the only way that they can impose these measures, because they know that there are laws in place that would otherwise prevent them. However, we don't have a COVID emergency in Queensland. Let me say that again. We do not have a COVID emergency in Queensland, is what Clive is stating here. Her theories are merely hypothetical, and the United Australia Party will challenge these restrictions in the Queensland Supreme Court or the High Court of Australia. These actions are malfeasance and discrimination and will lead to a two-class society in Queensland. Mr Palmer said that under the Premier's unconstitutional measures, Queenslanders would continue to suffer financial losses, which is obvious. I will ensure that these politicians and bureaucrats are held accountable for any losses and will legally make these individuals financially accountable for any damages, Mr Palmer said. So, in case you already don't know, Clive Palmer is backing the United Australia Party, which is headed up by Craig Kelly. We have a federal election in May next year, and you know, there's going to be a massive shake-up in the Australian political system. And I think one of the best things we can all do right now is to start opening our mind to being politically active. And you know, one of the best things that we can do if we care for the freedom of this country and for that of our children and everything that our great-grandfathers fought for to give us, then we will vote for the United Australia Party next year. And in fact, in the meantime, get on the United Australia Party website if you haven't already and become a member of their political party, already the fastest growing political party in Australia in political history. So, big words from Clive, and you know, it begs the question, you know, what is the price of freedom? What is the price of freedom? Those who think that complying with these measures is going to give them their freedom are really sadly mistaken. All it's going to do is going to give you a temporary reprieve. It's going to give you a temporary privilege. Why? Because it will not stop. It will not stop. When you comply, eventually what happens is the measures get more and more and more. You're going to be going back for more and more, and it will never ever end. So freedom is something that you value, and you want to see a country that is similar to what you grew up in terms of your autonomy and your ability to be free, then really you've got a choice to make now that is far greater than yourself, And that's all I'd say. And I know some people are in a tough situation. I've got friends and family members who are, and it's obviously a decision personally that every individual has to make. And my heart goes out to those who are making decisions against their intuitive sense of what's right, but they're doing it because they feel they absolutely have to. If you've got the means, hold the line. We have to understand that we're in the middle of World War III, and wars have been fought for freedom for centuries because people valued freedom so highly. And that's why those who fought for freedom and won, they put into place these impenetrable covenants and acts and bills of rights and laws so that the future generations wouldn't have to go through the pain that they went through. And we have to realise that, we have to honour that, we have to understand that our great-grandparents, they would be shuddering in their graves seeing this, what is happening right now. And I know the Aussies are doing such a brilliant job at standing up and going out and protesting peacefully. And it's so great to see. And it's just really a question now of to what extent the people can stand up and resist and not comply to these bullshit draconian measures, which are not what this country's all about. And that's really, what my message is today, is just to remember what the price of freedom really is, and to do all that you can to do what's true to you in regards to that, because it's far greater than us as individuals, what this is all about. So that's my message today, and however you're getting through this, I hope you're doing it with a smile on your face as best as you can. I know it's tough, but these are all the reasons why it's so important now to do what you can to also take stock of where you're at, socially, financially, in terms of security, in terms of emergency supplies, all those things that are a sad reality of what we're having to do to get prepared, because most people just don't see what's coming, and they don't see how this is going to impact their life in a negative way. So it's really just about being conscious and taking the right steps, guys. But that's it for today, and I hope you got something from that. But my thoughts are with you, and just remember that freedom has always come at a price. We just need to choose what price we're prepared to pay. All right, take care, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye.